Jake is 25. Marcus is 35. Same salary, same city, same total stock market index fund, same $300 a month. The only difference is when they started. And at 65, one of them will have nearly 3 times the retirement savings of the other, without ever investing a single extra dollar per month. That gap has a number. And when you actually see it, the cost of waiting stops feeling like a concept and starts feeling like a decision you made. Let's run it. Jake opens a brokerage account at 25. He puts $300 a month into a broad market index fund. No stock picking, no timing. He sets up automatic contributions, goes about his life, and doesn't think about it again. His coworkers ask what he's investing in. He says index funds. They nod politely and change the subject. Nobody is impressed. Marcus is 25 at the same time, same salary, same intentions, and a list of real reasons why now isn't quite the right moment. Student loans, rent in an expensive city, an emergency fund that still isn't where it needs to be. His career is still taking shape, and $300 a month is competing with everything else in a paycheck that doesn't feel like enough yet. He tells himself he'll start once things settle. A few years becomes 5 years. 5 years becomes a decade. At 35, Marcus opens his account. He sets up the same $300 monthly contribution into the same total market index fund. He's disciplined from day one. He never misses a month. He does everything right. And it won't be enough to close the gap. Here is what the numbers look like in real time. At 30, Jake has been investing for 5 years. He has put in $18,000 of his own money. His portfolio is worth approximately $23,000 at a 10% average annual return, the long-run historical average for total U.S. stock market index funds. It doesn't feel like anything. The account exists, grows slowly, and there is nothing impressive about it. No story to tell at dinner, no asset he can point to. Just a number on a screen that moves in a direction he mostly ignores. Marcus, at 30, has zero invested. He still has time. Everyone says so. He is right that 35 years until 65 is a long runway. What nobody tells him is that the 5 years between 30 and 35, the ones he is about to trade for more waiting, are some of the most valuable compounding years he will ever have access to. He doesn't know that yet. By 35, Jake has contributed $36,000. His portfolio is sitting at approximately $68,000. Something has shifted. His annual market returns last year were larger than his total annual contributions. The compounding engine is running on its own now, adding money he never earned and never had to work for. Marcus opens his account at 35. His first contribution is $300. He is starting exactly where Jake started a decade ago. Same amount, same fund, same setup. On paper, they look identical. Except Marcus has 30 years until 65 and Jake had 40. That single decade is going to cost Marcus more than he has ever been told. By 40, Jake is at approximately $137,000. He has contributed $54,000 total. The market has generated $83,000 on top of that. More than half his portfolio is now money he never put in. It arrived because his contributions had time to multiply. Marcus at 40 is at approximately $23,000. Same $300 a month. Same fund. Same discipline. He is 5 years in and sitting at the exact number Jake passed through at age 30. He is not behind in effort. He is behind in time, and time does not negotiate. By 45, Jake's portfolio is approximately $233,000. Marcus is at approximately $68,000. The gap between them is $165,000. Not a gap created by income, intelligence, or discipline. Created entirely by the date each of them sat down and opened an account. $165,000 of wealth that exists in one account and not the other. Because one person started 10 years earlier. That is the whole explanation. Marcus is doing everything Jake is doing. contributing the same amount every month, in the same fund, experiencing the same market returns, just from a starting position that is permanently behind and falling further behind with every year that passes. If this is already showing you something the typical early investing video skips, subscribe right now. This channel runs the complete numbers every time, not the version that fits on a thumbnail. The version that actually changes how you think. By 50, Jake is at approximately $382,000. Marcus is at approximately $137,000. The gap is now $245,000. Marcus has been investing for 15 years. He has not missed a single month. His discipline is identical to Jake's. He has contributed $54,000 of his own money. He is still less than 40% of where Jake is. And the gap is still growing. Here is why, broken down to a single month's contribution. When Jake puts $300 into the market at 25, that contribution has 40 years to compound before he reaches 65. At 10% average annual growth, that single $300 investment becomes approximately $13,500 at retirement. That is the real value of 1 month's contribution at 25, not $300, $13,500. When Marcus puts $300 into the market at 35, that same contribution has 30 years to reach 65. At the identical 10% return, it becomes approximately $5,200. Same $300, same fund, same return rate, $8,300 less because it had 10 fewer years. Multiply that $8,300 difference across every month of a decade. 120 months of contributions Marcus made, 10 years too late, and the math becomes something most people have never actually sat down to calculate. The cost of waiting is not the $36,000 Marcus didn't invest in his 20s. It is the $1.2 million gap at 65. Every dollar of that gap was built from nothing except time. By 55, Jake is at approximately $594,000. Marcus is at approximately $233,000. The gap is $361,000, and it is still widening. At this stage, Jake's portfolio is generating more in annual market returns than most people earn in salary. He is putting in $3,600 a year in contributions and watching the account grow by tens of thousands beyond that on its own. The compounding at this phase is doing the kind of work that no amount of late start contributions can fully replicate. Marcus at 55 is where Jake was at 45, still building, still consistent, still doing nothing wrong, and still a full decade behind in outcomes that have nothing to do with his discipline. Now retirement. Age 65, the full picture. Jake, 40 years of $300 monthly contributions at 10% average annual return. Portfolio, approximately $1,900,000. Total contributions from his own pocket, $144,000. Market growth added, approximately $1,756,000, more than 12 times what he ever put in. Marcus, 30 years of the same $300 monthly contributions at the same return. Portfolio, approximately $678,000. Total contributions, $108,000. Market growth, approximately $570,000. The retirement gap, $1,222,000. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, the standard benchmark for sustainable retirement income without depleting principal, Jake withdraws approximately $76,000 per year from his portfolio. Marcus withdraws approximately $27,000. Jake retires on $76,000 a year from investments, plus Social Security. Marcus retires on $27,000 from investments, plus Social Security. One of them is comfortable. The other is running a spreadsheet every month, hoping it holds. Same $300 a month, same fund, same discipline. One outcome nearly 3 times the size of the other. Now here is where most early investing videos stop, and stopping here causes real damage. because stopping here makes waiting look like pure stupidity. And it wasn't. Marcus had real reasons. Student loans in his 20s were real. Building a cash buffer was the right move before investing. His income at 25 was genuinely lower than it became at 35. The $300 a month that felt tight at 25 is not the same $300 at 35 with a more established salary and lower debt load. None of that is wrong, and none of it changes the math. The uncomfortable question is this: wherever that $300 went in Marcus's 20s, to debt payoff, to rent, to dining out, to subscriptions, to a car payment that was $50 more than it needed to be, each of those dollars was purchasing something. And nothing Marcus bought in his 20s was worth $13,500 at retirement. Some of it was worth spending. A lot of it wasn't. And the difference between those two categories is where the cost of waiting actually lives. The question is never whether you can afford to start investing. It is whether you can afford not to. And answering that question honestly requires calculating the number most people never calculate. So let's calculate what Marcus actually needs to do now. If Marcus keeps $300 a month from 35 to 65, he retires with $678,000 and withdraws about $27,000 per year. Add an average Social Security benefit of roughly $22,000, and he has about $49,000 a year in retirement income. Depending on his expenses, that may work. It may not. If Marcus increases to $600 a month starting at 35, his portfolio at 65 is approximately $1,356,000. That generates $54,000 a year in withdrawals. Add Social Security, and he is at roughly $76,000 annually. That is a retirement that works for most people. He contributed $216,000 total versus Jake's $144,000. He spent $72,000 more of his own money and still ended up with $544,000 less. That $72,000 is the direct price of the decade he waited. If Marcus contributes $1,000 a month from 35 to 65, his portfolio reaches approximately $2,260,000. Annual withdrawal, roughly $90,000. He is now ahead of Jake in final balance. He also put in $360,000 of his own money versus Jake's $144,000. He spent $216,000 more to arrive at a similar destination. That $216,000 is not a coincidence. It is the cost of waiting, expressed precisely in dollars. You can buy your way back to the same outcome. You cannot buy it back at the same price. The price always goes up the longer you wait. That is the part nobody tells you clearly enough. Index fund investing is not risk-free. It never has been. In 2008, total market funds dropped approximately 37%. In March 2020, the market fell 34% in a single month. If Marcus had built $150,000 in his portfolio and watched it fall to $95,000 in 4 weeks, that is not a number on a screen. That is gut-wrenching. And the data is consistent on what most retail investors do when that happens. They sell. They lock in the loss. They buy back in after the recovery at higher prices. The strategy works if you hold through everything. Most people do not hold through everything. The other honest limitation: at $300 a month, neither Jake nor Marcus is on pace to retire early, retire wealthy, or replace a meaningful income from investments alone at a standard salary. $300 a month is the floor of a habit, not a complete retirement plan. The goal of this comparison is not to tell you $300 is enough. It is to show you what 10 years of waiting does to whatever amount you are investing. Whatever your number is, $300, $600, $1,000, starting it a decade earlier is worth more than doubling it a decade later. If you are 25 right now, $300 a month is the single highest return financial decision available to you. Not because it feels significant. It won't. It will feel like nothing for the first 5 years. The account grows slowly. The numbers stay small, and there will be 100 things competing for that $300 every month. None of them will be worth $13,500 at 65. If you are 35, the window is not closed. It is just more expensive to use. $600 a month from 35 builds a retirement that works. $1,000 a month from 35 builds one that works exceptionally well. The math still functions. It just requires more of your money to compensate for less of your time. And if you are anywhere in between, 28, 31, 33, the gap between starting today and starting in 3 years is smaller than it will ever be again. Every month from this point forward has a specific dollar cost you can calculate. The urgency is real. It just doesn't feel real until the math is in front of you. Jake never felt disciplined. He didn't feel like he was sacrificing anything. He set up automatic contributions at 25 and genuinely forgot about them. One decision, made once, executed automatically, never revisited. Marcus wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't financially illiterate. He just never sat down and calculated the number that would have made waiting feel like what it actually was. A specific, irreversible, dollar-denominated choice. Now you have that number. The next time someone tells you that you have plenty of time, ask them the only question that matters. How much is waiting going to cost me? Because the answer is not motivational. It is not abstract. It is a specific dollar amount that increases every month you don't calculate it. And the answer that includes everything is the only answer that actually matters.